Good afternoon, good afternoon again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, folks. You know the drill. Read the article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. All right, folks. Trigger warning one. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use the headphones. Number two, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, as always, parental supervision is advised. Folks, I'm essentially what you get when you are dealing with someone who has read way too many books over way too many subjects, who was raised by Army veterans and truck drivers. It is what it is. All right, let's start where we left off, all right? Based on other evidence discussed in the proposed rule and received and comment responses, ESD use can be leaked with the DSM-5 criteria for PTSD, most clearly including Criterion A, Criterion B, intrusion symptoms, intrusive distressing memories, Criteria C, symptoms, persistent avoidance of stimuli associated with traumatic event, and Criterion D, symptoms, negative alterations cognition and mood. This is undisputable, folks. This is undisputable. This is not a debate. These are the facts. The symptomology of the individuals who are brave enough to waive their HIPAA rights to speak into the regards of the PTSD among the other psychological trauma they experience while being stuck in this hellhole dipped in Disney bad acid trip fits everything it's talking about here. But what I find even more interesting is the DSM that they're using as an argument doesn't back their view of things. If you read that description from the DSM 3, those kids still qualify. See, what they do at the JRC is so horrific that even when we didn't clarify things the way that we do now, and it was more simple, where the heinousness that caused these symptomology to begin is so bad that it fits even the earliest, most, you see what I'm saying here, right? It's ignorant to try to use the DSM-3 to say these kids don't have PTSD when even by DSM-3 standards, they still would have been diagnosed with PTSD. That's just dumb. And it's a waste of everyone's time. But let's continue, shall we? While there are 8 criteria in the DSM-5 that need to be met for a diagnosis of PTSD in a particular patient, the evidence in the record corresponding with some of these criteria is sufficient for the FDA to conclude that ESDs for SIB or AB pose a risk of developing PTSD. Actual occurrence of a particular home is not necessary for the FDA to determine a device presents a risk of that harm. It should be a no-brainer, folks. Kids brought up in that horrific culture of fear for years. There's going to be a psychological toll. This is basic logic 101. Further, lack of information regarding some of the criteria may be due to poor record keeping, clinical oversight, and training of personnel at JRC to identify safety and effectiveness outcomes. No, FDA, I'm going to make it clear that JRC don't care any more than the ABA practitioners tend to care about the trauma that they inflict upon us. That's the real ugly truth, folks. And if we're going to change anything, we need to take the blinds off of us and see things as they are, not how we would want them to be. You got to see the reality of the situation. All right. And the JRC doesn't want to see the reality of the situation. That having that constant torment slung from their bodies every single second of the day, whether they are alive and conscious or not, is not going to breed a very healthy psychological growth and development, is all I'm saying, especially not in kids that damn young. There are a lot of things that are horrific about the JRC, but when you want to talk about the kids that they are putting on these devices, you are talking preteens getting ready to come into teenagerhood. This is where their minds are developing. And this is when the JRC believes that you should earn every bite of food. When proper eating is at its most important for the growth and development of the kid. Okay? The fact of the matter is, it's quite simple. It's not that they have poor record keeping skills. It's not that their personnel isn't trained in regards to noticing the symptomology of PTSD, even though that's 100% true. We already know what these training schedules look like, and it's a fucking national embarrassment. Okay? Let's start with that. The fact of the matter is, folks, it's not that they're not trained to do these things, it's that they don't care enough to try. The reason why they never report PTSD and they try to use that as a brag is that nobody goes looking. And the situations where we've been able to find and document the psychological trauma of the survivors in this place, it has been against the JRC's wishes. I don't doubt for a second that they can at least tell that there's something really psychologically going on that isn't good with the kid. But it's not their job to care. It is their job to use what looks like a psychological toll the kid is paying as an argument to continue the horrific treatment, as we all know. This is why the world, you don't need to just look at the atrocities of the JRC. You need to understand what these people are capable of. You need to see them as they are. These are not well intentioned individuals that just went down the wrong path. Okay? They know exactly what they're doing. They, like many in ABA, don't care about the cost that we have to pay to make ourselves more palatable to a neurotypical world that doesn't like us anyway. We're going to close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you again in a few minutes. Bye bye. Technical difficulties, folks. When your mouse does not work properly. Bye bye.